used to this. Great. So, can you all see me? As I mentioned, we're in about our 5th year of using Eportfolios university, in a university-wide way, and have completed 4 years of using Eportfolio for tenure and promotion. So I want to just, I have a lot of slides here, but I don't need to necessarily show you all these slides. But I want to give you some information, since it sounds like some of you may be interested in doing that at your institution. And you are doing it now? Yeah. Okay, you had completed 1 cycle?
No, we've just begun.
Oh, you just began.
This summer is the first time we're trying to.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Well, so I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the process of what needs to happen for a tenure and promotion review. The burden is on the faculty to, collect and select and reflect on their teaching experience and get themselves organized. And it's very high stakes, as any of you know who are faculty. And our previous process at PACE, I don't know if you're familiar with PACE, but it's a multi-campus institution. So our previous process consisted of faculty creating 3 sets of dossiers that could reside in a locked room in Pleasantville and Westchester, in White Plains, White Plains Center, as well as downtown New York City. So as if tenure and promotion isn't painful enough, our faculty had to do it 3 times. And these binders, these huge binders, paper binders, would reside in locked rooms. And our tenure process, I don't know when anyone else's happens, but our review process happens, it basically starts over the winter break, the review process. So these binders would be in the locked rooms, and deans who were very busy all year would try to do it over winter break, and they couldn't get into these locked rooms. So it was sort of a broken process for years. This just shows you kind of the elements that go into the dossier. I'm sure it's similar to your institutions. It's really broken down into an executive summary, a teaching portfolio, a scholarship research portfolio, and a service portfolio, optional items, addendums, or professional practicum if it applies. But this broken process, was going on for a long time, and I think the problem with the locked rooms became such a big deal that one year it was the responsibility of some admins to actually scan the paper dossiers and put the PDFs into Blackboard so that deans could review from their own offices. So you can imagine just the endless paper that was wasted, time that was wasted, and finally somebody said, why don't we look at another process? And I, of course, jumped up and said, I've got a process. How about we use ePortfolio? Again, and my main thing is, not that I was trying to fix tenure and promotion, because that's really out of my area, but I saw this as a key opportunity to build buy-in around ePortfolio. And if it's required for all these new faculty, then they were all going to be in there, and it was going to make my job to get them using it for fun ways that much easier. So you all know where I was coming from. This is the main thing I wanted to show you. This is the template. And although this is, I consider this a success, in my mind it's still sort of half there, because basically what we've done is we've just transferred the paper process into an electronic filing cabinet, which those of you who are into portfolios know this is still minimal. I still feel like there's work to be done in this area, and I'm still, somewhat disappointed / frustrated that we can't get a more fully dynamic process using ePortfolio into tenure and promotion, but it's one battle at a time. And it's still great that they're in there. And some of our faculty, just so you know, do go on from here and create what I'd call a real ePortfolio. But for now, this is like the electronic filing cabinet, starting with their CV, executive summary, et cetera, all the parts. They upload the files. I can just explain how this process works a little bit. They upload the files into a particular page that they create. And they do this through an academic teaching portfolio workshop, so they don't have to go it alone. They're trained from day one. I go to new faculty orientation, and it used to be that the faculty were told, get 3 laundry baskets and put your teaching evaluations in one and all your service documentation in another. Instead of saying laundry baskets now, we say open your Mahara account and start filing your papers away. So if you do this at the beginning, then when you go for your mid-year, around your 3-year mark, and then when you go for your tenure around 7, you have a lot of stuff already here. So they go through workshops, and And they really learn how to reflect on themselves as teachers, as practitioners, as scholars and researchers. So it really is very aligned with ePortfolio thinking. It's just unfortunately the end result sometimes looks a little bit old-fashioned.
So the reflections are like Word documents or something?
The reflections are Word documents,
right?
yeah. I mean, that's what's required. Mm-hmm. Some faculty do use video and create more, use more images, but the process, we kind of translated a paper process into an electronic one through ePortfolio, but it still could look like this. Again, it's a huge leap to get everyone in there using it, and because they're in there using it, it's a much easier sell for me than to go pitch an idea about using ePortfolio for teaching and learning purposes. I don't know if you've talked about how you're going to be using ePortfolio. Are they going to create a ePortfolio? You're going to do more of a template?
So almost exactly what you're doing. It's kind of a follower. I'm wondering though, let's see Rico, because Rico's had a number of roles, as you mentioned here at TC, basically running the administrative department. Whether faculty would be amenable to like videotaping themselves or recording a reflection about their, I don't know if
that's a great question. I think people are already thinking about some of the questions that I have, sort of trying to think about implementation and planning. I think there's a generational divide, so we've been hinting at that, and I think newer faculty would be open to pretty much anything and sort of indoctrinating them in a sense, but the older faculty are just not going to do this.
Well, and I really should mention that the resistance is really not coming from our new faculty going up for tenure promotion, because they're willing to make videos and images and anything to get tenure. The resistance is the reviewers. It's because the reviewer team consists of deans and senior faculty, and they want a consistent experience for being able to evaluate lots of dossiers quickly. And the fear on their part is that if people are doing videos and creating pages that are very highly customized, where will they find their supporting documents for service? That's going to look different and it's going to be harder to evaluate. So I feel like it's not the new faculty that are saying, I don't want to create a dynamic multimedia ePortfolio. It's more on the review side. And maybe that's similar at your institutions too. So for now, this is what we're doing, and then I can just explain that. Oh yeah.
Maybe I'm missing something, but I get that you maybe videos, but could you give me an example or two of how you would like to see this different to using ePortfolios that would get you excited? Like, I think this is just like kind of electronic file. What would make you excited if they were doing it?
Well, what would make me excited is that. Yes, and I do think there could be a blended approach here. I don't think it's got to be all or none. I do think that you could still have this and then have some of this to complement. And some of our schools, our School of Nursing, is using ePortfolio for their annual reviews, and they're creating pages more like this. So it is possible. But it's a lot of process work that's got to happen. Our tenure process consists of review at the department level, then at the school college level, then at the university level. So this dossier has to pass through a lot of hands and get a lot of sign-offs. And so it is complicated and a big shift to go from this to this. But I hope in the coming years we could do, did you use this for your tenure review? Yeah, that's great.
It's an option at purchase, but it has not been pushed. And 2 or 3 years ago, when we tried to do a pilot with a number of faculty, the portfolios went through the local review committees, the chair of the department, and the PPC promotion, our promotion and tenure. But then everything got printed out to paper.
Right. Right. We have one faculty member that calls my staff every year. He's on the review committee, and he asks for the dossiers to be printed out. And I just tell them, please don't answer that call. It's just, and I tell them to answer every call, but that one I just really don't. I don't want them to have to go through here and start printing all this out. But I hope that we could morph into something like this, or more of a hybrid approach in the coming years, because the value in having this, this will never get shared beyond tenure and promotion, whereas Keith can take these pieces and turn it into a real teaching portfolio that he would share parts perhaps with students or parts with colleagues on research projects. This remains really like a back office page.
And our tenure and promotion policy or procedures are so Byzantine and untransparent and paranoid that this is open. You don't even have to be logged into our ePortfolio system to see my tenure portfolio. That's just a decision I made as a faculty member. I'm all for open education, and I'd like to promote a more transparent process. But again, it's not my area on campus.
And that's a key piece of this too, is that our process also is very locked down, and that was a big hurdle to overcome. Also, even going to this, it's how we were going to make, how we were going to replicate the locked room situation. And so to create the locked room with these pages, the faculty member creates the page and shares the page with a tenure and promotion group in Mahara, and only certain people have access to the group. And even among my team, we don't have everyone on the team have access to that group. It's very sensitive. I'm not even showing you a real sample today because people are very, unlike Keith, people are very sensitive about their stuff in this space.
I'm 60 years old going over tenure, so I've got a different...
Right, I know. Now, I thought about asking a couple of faculty who I work with about sharing it, but I just didn't even want to put them in their position because it really, on our campus, this is really like very, very private. But the groups have worked well for us. So the faculty member shares permission with the TAP group at the department level and at the university level, and members, only the select members have access to that group for that time period and can review the files and make their decisions from there. So it's been working for us. Like I said, we do have room for improvement, but I am pleased because all of our new faculty are introduced to this on day one, and their ears all perk up as soon as you start talking about tenure and promotion, what's required. And so I have their full attention to hear about it, and then hopefully I'll also have their full attention to talk about ePortfolio for other purposes as well. Is there any questions?
Beth, you made the comment about it looks like a file cabinet, but I can't see this succeeding without a highly templated approach.
Because of the review and yeah.
I mean, people had to deal with my more open format, but if we were going to do this seriously at Purchase, we'd have to do the same.
We had a woman go up for tenure and promotion in our media and communication arts department a few years back, and she tried to lead a crusade to have a page like yours because she felt that her publications were all video and multimedia, and in this format she felt she wouldn't have looked as strong as in this format, and she was voted down, and she did run into some issues which she then appealed and luckily did get tenure and promotion. But for a lot of faculty this would be more favorable for them, but again, it's how is it reviewed and all the layers it's got to go through. It's got to have change on that level, even though our faculty may be ready for it. The ones that are applying for tenure promotion, it's getting the buy-in from the reviewers.
Go ahead.
So just in a process question, which is with your external reviewers, were they sending to somebody administratively, or did you give them like a URL? And we were talking about a secret URL. How did you get external reviewers?
Yeah, that's a good question about external reviewers. External reviewers do send in letters of support that we have an admin who puts those letters in. So the external reviewer doesn't have access to the group, but the individual, the faculty member X, can share. And I think that's usually done through secret URL. Or it could potentially be done by email, because I don't always know if the external reviewer has access to the full dossier. I think sometimes it may be a piece, like they're asked to comment on research, and so I think faculty may even handle that outside of Mahara just through other means. But then the letter from the external reviewer is sent to an admin who either works with my team or directly inputs the letter into the person's profile.
So do the applicants then actually see those letters? Or is it handled so that pretty much nothing, no commenting or feedback or anything is given on the portfolio itself, and everything just done within the group? So that
Everything's done within the group. No commenting on the faculty member's portfolio in Mahara. I don't know, I forget what the external letter is. I mean, I just wrote a letter, a confidential letter for a faculty member, and they don't see it, so I'm sending it to the admin to get it into Mahara for the rest of the group to see.
I mean, that's an important point though, because in addition to this page that I've got on the screen here, I have a folder in academic affairs that has the letters that I'm not allowed to see.
I can't remember, at PACE, are these archived, the faculty dossiers?
They, well, the group remains, so the 2014 TAP group still remains with all these pages are still shared within that group. So it's archived in that respect. I'm hoping that nobody's printing them out to archive them. So I guess the problem there is that a faculty member could,
Shared or something?
Shared or confidential.
I think it's,
Because if they share it, the faculty members can delete it.
Right.
So I'm almost thinking that it might be copied because then they aren't really even members of the group.
I
and
have
would
to check.
see
Yeah, they're not
this.
members of the group.
Yeah.
They're definitely not in the group because then they would see other, so.
But they can still share their portfolio even if they are not a member of the group.
I
But
have to
then
check if it's
their
shared or copied.
portfolio could change over
Right.
time because they can still make changes to it.
Right.
And that's why NYIT actually copies the page. Either I think it was to a different user account, who then can share it with the various groups because they are also the different committees aren't allowed to see each other's comments necessarily. So it goes through 3 different levels of review, I think. And so that's why the portfolio is created by the faculty member, but once they submit it, it's entirely out of their hand because it just really gets copied into a new account.
Right, I think we do the shared version, so I think there is some trust there that they're not gonna make changes, but I have to check on that.
But we just contracted with a company up here in White Plains to scan years and years and years of all these faculty documents. So we're gonna get, some DVDs or something. We haven't decided how we're going to go cloud-based storage, but I wonder if it's possible to import those somehow into a private space in Mahara.
Oh yeah, you can upload them as zip file and have them all there at once and unzip them.
And could we associate them with? Could we set up then by name?
It depends on how they scan it, and if they scan it per person,
They're scanning by
and
person.
you would get a folder with all the person's files.
That's exactly.
Then
what we're
it
doing,
could be uploaded as zip file or all via drag and drop, and then you would have the portfolio of one person.
yeah. Nice job. Cool.
Of course, we'll know how to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys figure that out, then let me know, because we still have room to grow here on this.
Christina?
Yeah.
If the faculty member were not a member of the TAP group, they could still submit the portfolio to the group.
No, they can only
can't-
share.
they can only share.
You can only submit a portfolio if you
you're
are a member of the group
course group.
because it gets locked, but you can still share it with the group. The group doesn't.
So you would have to
The
copy it
group
to get
doesn't show
them.
up in your quick list of groups that you're a member of, but you can still find it under share with other users or groups, and then share it with them, and also make it copyable so that they can take a copy of it.
Yeah,
I
I'll
guess,
check, I'm gonna check on that, I mean,
Going back to the archiving question, though, that Joyce, I think was your name, right? Yeah, had is you could ask the faculty member after they've shared it to directly save it as an HTML export, because then it wouldn't depend on Mahara for anybody to review the files, but they could simply archive them off and open them in any web browser, and that way you would kind of have that more hard copy on a disk thing, in case if they really share it, in case they make any changes, that you as university still have a copy of all the files that they originally submitted.
I will look into that, thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much, Beth.